WWE is going through a year of change. What started in 2020 as cuts due to the pandemic has seen a thorough shakeup as stars have been released again and again. With more than 100 wrestlers fired and even more WWE employees let go thanks to internal changes, there has been an air of panic surrounding the company. Given all the signs point to a sale of WWE, there's a lot of worry about this possibility and the entire wrestling landscape changing if it were to happen. This is Wrestling Up, and here are changes to come if WWE was sold. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at WrestlingHubOfficial and also follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. Vince McMahon's creativeness is synonymous with the excitement of wrestling. While at one time it was that which set WWE apart, it is that same man's slow but steady decline that has driven fans away. Vince McMahon is the force behind creative in WWE. NXT was kept separate from the chairman for a long time, with Triple H taking care of it, but recently even that was taken over by McMahon. The chairman has overexerted himself with his declining idea of what fans want to see. In reality, many want an end to the unfettered control McMahon has, with inconsistent stories, stars not being pushed because he does not believe in them, and the over-scripted nature of the show. If WWE was sold, his involvement as more than a member of the board would come to an end. He would not have unilateral power, and stories of Vince coming into the show at the last minute and tearing up his script would cease to exist. Without McMahon at the helm, others would take his role. There would be multiple TV executives arriving to take care of the company, and many that have been loyal to the chairman would be saying goodbye to their jobs. Kevin Dunn and the current WWE production team would go through a heavy change given how they are the focus of a lot of criticism. There would also be a time to say goodbye to WWE producers and backstage creative directors like Bruce Pritchard, with someone replacing him given that he has presided over the least successful run of WWE in a long time. There would be no one safe from cuts and the resulting backlash of a sale. Along with that, there would be even more releases. A lot of WWE stars would be cut from the company, any that don't fit the vision of the new buyer, as that would likely be a corporate entity. The company has been in the McMahon family forever. When the company changed hands between Vince McMahon and his father, it was a shock to the industry. That's what would happen once again if WWE was sold, but first would come an immediate loss for the promotion. For many, Vince McMahon is synonymous with WWE. He is the one who took it from the hands of his father, fought against and destroyed the territory system, and defeated a top rival to become a conglomerate so large that no one could compete with them. Given the pandemic, the releases have led to WWE having a great last year financially. As of 2020, the WWE net worth is listed as $5.71 billion. Despite viewership hiccups, WWE has been doing mighty fine in the revenue department. In the second quarter of 2018, it recorded a revenue of $281.6 million, a 31% increase, the highest in WWE history. The sharp rise in revenue was largely helped by the huge increments in media and operating income, which recorded a 48% and a 43% increase respectively. Whoever is the next manager of WWE will not have the same success as Vince McMahon. Instead, there would be an initial loss on the financial side until fans got used to the idea of change. Even though Vince McMahon had to leave XFL, there were rumors of WWE being sold to Disney. Disney bought Fox in 2019 and were expanding at a rate no one was ready for. They're one of the biggest companies in the world, yet have been expanding the type of companies that they have been buying. With the introduction of Disney Plus, the company needs more content. Given the properties they own, they can fill it up easily, but when it comes to live content, any brand would do well to bring in regular content airing throughout the year, ensuring a certain level of traffic regularly. The The rumor was simple: WWE was going to be the next target for Disney. Would the mouse come for Vince McMahon? WWE does not look like the company that it did years ago. It's become more and more family friendly, something that Attitude Era fans despise given how much they loved the company. There have been continuous declining ratings, but putting WWE on a platform like Disney would make them an immediate target for families. More families could then tune into WWE and watch the content on a regular basis. This would ultimately lead to the child audience of WWE, and given the customer base, they would be making the content even more child-friendly. Thus, WWE, which is already massive, would become an even larger platform. This would be one of the biggest changes in WWE if Disney were to take over. For a long time, WWE has taken the focus away from building stars like John Cena, Stone Cold, The Rock, or Hulk Hogan. These are top names and at one point grew to be bigger than the company. Without them, WWE would not be what it is today. They would have a far smaller audience without someone like that, and that has been the case. While Roman Reigns is now the face of the company and has a certain appeal, WWE has seen a decline in viewership since they looked away from their approach of building real superstars. WWE is not the only one to have taken this approach. Stars like Ronaldo and Messi, Conor McGregor and LeBron James, each sport has succeeded in building top names that are attractions for everyone. A large part of UFC's pay-per-view money in a year depends on McGregor, with the star, even in his diminished form, selling millions of pay-per-views to fans. UFC decided to make themselves bigger than McGregor, and while it has worked, their appeal has lessened. WWE took that approach as well and has decreased the reliance on the bigger names. However, if Vince McMahon sells WWE, that will change again. Anyone who buys the company will look to build megastars once again and keep a big star associated with the promotion. Given that a Hollywood player will likely be the one to buy WWE, they have long taken this approach for movies, and the same can be said for how they will approach WWE. With that focus, WWE would become far more like show business, with attention being paid to how the show is presented than how it is now. If the new owner is able to build megastars, it would likely change how WWE is perceived as a whole. No one who buys a company wants to do as much work as it would require to come into WWE and fix the company from the inside. Ever since the end of the ruthless aggression era, there has been a slow but steady decline. There is a lot that has to be fixed from the inside, and it won't be an easy thing for someone who is unfamiliar with the business. In fact, if someone like that came into the business to try and fix it, they would be facing many of the same issues that Nick Khan is, becoming rapidly unpopular for the fans as they would be forced to make releases. An easy solution to this would be for whoever bought the company to hand over the control of the company to someone else, someone experienced in knowing the ins and outs of the company. Triple H. Triple H has for many years been groomed to eventually take over WWE. The company has been led from the front by Vince McMahon, but behind the scenes, Triple H has been picking up a lot of slack. He would be the perfect person to take control of WWE in such a situation. He proved that he knew how to make a wrestling show when he made NXT the most watchable show on a weekly basis, before outside pressures and handicaps put him in a tough position and forced the show to change. Now he would be the face of the company as the frontman for whoever bought the promotion as the only right choice for the job. WWE has always been successful but never really been ethical. One aspect that has come under scrutiny is that WWE stars are not employees, they're independent contractors. This prevents them from having many benefits WWE would be forced to provide. While they lack the benefits of full-time employees, they also don't have the freedom they should have if they were actually independent contractors. In their position, they are barred from taking part in third-party streaming services, which has prevented many from making money on platforms like Twitch and YouTube. Even politicians are taking notice, as former US presidential candidate Andrew Yang had this to say about the issue. "It really infuriates me because WWE has been trying to play it both ways for years. On one hand, they're saying you can't do anything and we own you, but you're an independent contractor and we have nothing to do with your health and retirement or any benefits that come as an employee. They have to make a choice at some point. If they are going to control all of these aspects of their performers' lives, then they should take some responsibility for those people, bigger picture. If they have a kid, maybe they get maternity or paternity leave. Maybe they get an off season. Maybe they they get proper recovery time. I say this as someone who has been a longtime fan of the sport. They are putting their lives and health on the line all the time. They made Vince a billionaire, and the fact that he's being so heavy-handed about them making a buck on the side on Cameo just struck me as absurd, ridiculous, and wrong. It's past time someone calls Vince out for this, and if Joe Biden and Kamala Harris win, I may be in position to do something about this. The situation is bound to change if someone else gets control of the company. They would likely be reclassified, which would be a huge alteration for WWE inside and out. In a situation where WWE is sold, while Stephanie McMahon and Triple H would still be in charge of running the shows, it could no longer continue in the way it has. Instead of there being one person in charge for decade after decade, the company would go through changes as Triple H and Stephanie would be forced to step down after a time. They could not maintain the unilateral control of the company that they have for so long. Thus, they would have short-term roles, after which they would likely be expected to step away from the company in anything other than a place on the board. WWE runs on a weekly basis with multiple shows. This creates an issue where there is no time for there to develop a need for wrestling. Fans just have to turn on their TV. However, with any other sport like baseball, football, soccer, there are off seasons which allows players to rest and get their affairs in order. WWE stars are on the road majority of the year, as this results in wear and tear that is never taken care of. In such a situation, WWE would do well to introduce an off season. Getting a new owner would allow WWE to do that, allowing talent to rest for a small part of the year and building up anticipation for when they return after a month or two. Real sports have something that attracts many: qualifying matches or playoffs. This creates entertainment as teams are eliminated so that slowly the tournament is built. If someone like NBCUniversal buys WWE, then they would possibly implement annual tournaments, so there would be something different to look forward to each year. Putting a title on the line for this would make this something fans wait eagerly for, almost akin to the G1 of New Japan. And these are changes that would be seen if WWE was sold. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.